I'm going to show you how to do a real simple blend of two photos to create a double exposure. So first of all, I've got these two photos to work with, which I got both of them off pexels.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the move tool to drag that photo on top of this one. If it's too big or too small, you can go Command T and you can resize it just so it fits the space a bit better to your liking. You now see that you've got two layers open in your layers panel. Remember, if your layers panel or your history panel or any of these things aren't showing, you just need to go to window and make sure they're ticked. I'm going to make these black and white. So I'm going to put a black and white adjustment layer on the top by pressing in the adjustments panel over here. I'm going to press that one there. And now it's going to make everything underneath of this layer is going to be black and white. If I wanted to just make the top layer black and white, you could link it by holding down the Option key like that. And then it means that only the top layer is black and white. The bottom one is still color. But for this, I'm going to just keep it all black and white. So I'm going to unlink it by pressing the Option or Alt key down while I click in between those two. Okay, so I could either just adjust the opacity of the top layer. So make sure you're clicked on the layer, not the black and white adjustment layer. So I'm clicked on layer 1. I can actually just adjust the opacity of the whole layer in one go, like that. Here is where you might decide to shimmy your photo around a bit if it's not in the exact right spot to your liking. So that's a really easy way of merging two photos together. Sometimes it's successful, other times you might need to do a little bit more tweaking. I'm just going to turn that back up to 100%, and I'm just going to show you these blending modes in here. So if you go to this little drop down here, you can find that there's lots of blending modes here as well. Sometimes they work nicely, other times it's probably something that you could get a better result by adjusting it further or doing it yourself. I'm going to show you also how to use a layer mask tool to erase parts of the photo out to blend it as well. So instead of using an eraser, I'm going to go and use a layer mask by clicking on this, making sure I'm clicked on layer 1. Click on the layer mask tool, and then you're going to use a simple paintbrush set to black and white. So if it's on a random color here, just click the default button here, and you can flick between black and white over here. So now you'll see I've got that brush set to a soft round so it blends nicely, and I've got it at 100%. So because I'm on the black, it'll actually erase through to the bottom layer underneath. Now if I make a mistake and decide I've erased too much, I just need to flick it back to the white, and then you can bring the photo back in again. So if you're wanting to get a nice sort of soft blend, you're going to need to adjust the opacity quite a bit on your brush. So you could bring it down to whatever you think will work. Flick it back to black, and then now you can start getting a nice soft blend in there. So that's another way of doing it as well. You can also still use your opacity layer as well. So it's a real simple way of blending. If you decide you don't want it black and white, you can actually just get rid of that layer or hide it by pressing the I, and then it will take it to full color. Or like I mentioned before, you might want to just make the top layer black and white. So if you hold down the Option key while you click in between those two layers, and it means that the top layer is black and white, but the bottom one's still color. Sort of looks a bit funny in this instance, but just so you know, that is how you can do it. So yeah, that's a really simple way of blending two photos together.